Islamic system, and we started the characteristic of the Islamic system, right?
Yeah.
Then we study it is from Allah, and we started the shumul. Huh? Any question about that? طيب نبدأ على بركة الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد. نحن the first characteristic we mentioned that is the system is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We mentioned, you know, what the meaning to be, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just to, in a summary, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala attribute are the attribute of perfection and kamal, right? Mm-hmm. Therefore his sharia will be carrying the attribute of kamal, carrying the attributes of the kamal. As we said, as you can measure, make the analogy between the precision, the accuracy, the perfection of his creation that is tangible and seen with our own eyes. It is the same characteristic that this accuracy and precision you see in the creation, the Sharia has it the same. Because the source is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As a matter of fact, the scholar, they say, the system of Islam or the system of the Sharia is more, in a way, amazing than the creation itself. Than the creation itself. Because the way of the organization to organize and to set the sunan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a nafs that is very complex, a soul that is very complex, this is one of the greatest, gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the humankind, which will be this system will help them to achieve their welfare and well-being. It is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that there is no any type of, let's say, to be impartial or to be in a way inclining to help some over the others. There is no background for someone to influence him in legislation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created all the creation. وَهُوَ غَنِيٌّ عَنْهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in need of His creation. Therefore, the hukum or the legislation that He legislates for them is for their purpose, for their sake, not for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to benefit or to get any gain from them. While when you look, for example, a human being, every human being, when he do something, there is he insinuate or there's kind of thinking or in the edification of anything that he will present, it has something for the self. Might be this person wise and just, but the way that he sees justice, it is really constructed, with his own background, the view, the vision, defending an oppressed depends on the way that he grew up. Someone he grew up, for example, in an environment where there's tyranny, he would know what the meaning of oppression. Someone who grew up in a system where there is, a relative justice and fair social justice, he will not know the suffering, for example, in places where there is full of tyranny. So when he will be legislating laws, he will not know, how to deal. Actually, he will not have the knowledge of such a thing happening or can happen. Because sometimes when some people, they hear some of the extreme, if you can say, oppression in some of the places, they will say like in a very astonished way, if this happened really? So imagine someone who grew up in a system who doesn't know these things. So he can be the just, or like, the most wise possible, the most just possible, but he cannot include in his system, for example, the protection, or to be like someone to prevent such a thing, because it's not in his mind. Other thing was someone, for example, he will build a system, or he will help people. He will help them based on his background. He will help them based on his, attachment he grew up with. The attachment he grew up with, when he sees some of his own people without even, control it, he has an attraction toward that person who had the same background more than the person who doesn't know. So he cannot be in a nature of a human being, someone cannot be completely partial and just. Someone, he lived all his life in Africa. When he sees someone from his back home, they share the same food, even the smile to that person different from someone who never shared the food together. And we can go into the examples, multitude of examples, and a lot of examples to show that the system to help or provided with a human background always cannot be complete. But Allah, the all-knowing, His system is going to be complete. You look, for example, another aspect. Someone can be the most just possible, the most wise possible, but his vision and view is going to be limited to his generation, to the time that he lived in. He cannot project or have a right vision of the next 10 generations. It's not going to be possible. So be limited in vision because of his own limit of life in time, and his own limit also on time and space, as we talk in the background. Therefore, it will not be possible to provide a complete and accurate and precise system that will have, to treat and deal with all the time, all the generation that's going to exist, and all the places where people live. So being the system is from Allah, had this exclusive characteristic to tell us that is a system that is complete, a system that is accurate, a system that is precise, a system that is perfect. Why? Because they are the same, carrying the same attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you want to check? You want to check or someone? The second characteristic is the characteristic of ash-shumul. This is a summary. Okay? So when we say it is from Allah, just to have this element in our mind, because sometimes when someone say, for example, it is from Allah, it's like when you say it is from Allah, it's like it's forbidden for you to think, it's forbidden for you to judge, it's forbidden for you to ask. So it is from Allah, just close your eyes, submit. And it's like the blind, they call it the blind faith. That's not the way in Islam. That's not the way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you about the Burhan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling you angels asking Allah question. And when we say it is from Allah, we need to extend our vision to think what it means to be from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you look, what if it wasn't from Allah? You look the shortcoming of the system, the defect of the system, the fact that it cannot be complete, impossible. So it's not that we say like someone willingly he want to do mischief. No, we say, have a person who is the most honest, the most just, the most wise, but yet he cannot provide something that is complete because of the limit of the nature of the human being. So when we say from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to put the emphasis on this element and this point. The second characteristic, as we said, الشمول. And we said, as al-Musannif here saying, قال شامل لجميع شؤون الحياة وسلوك الإنسان. So the Islam is shamil, and we said الشمول, one of the words that we, in the translation to go more with the shumul, we said comprehensiveness, universality. Comprehensiveness and universality. So the shumul, Islam, the system of Islam, it encompasses all the action of the human being. All the action, as we mentioned last time, of the human being. So شامل لجميع شؤون الحياة. All the matters of life, Islam provide you with the way of doing, with the solution. وسلوك الإنسان, and all the conduct, all the behavior of the human being. Islam has a solution. So this is a characteristic. So this is an exclusive characteristic for Islam. We mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we look at the system of Islam, you see, for example, when you look at the system of the laws, you see the system of the law integrated every aspect of the life of the human being. Every aspect of the life of the human being. We mentioned, for example, and I think we already mentioned that. We mentioned, for example, you find the system of the law of al-aqidah, the system of the law of belief, which is regulate and, let's say, regulate and present and define the relation of the belief, the relation between the servant and his God subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to know the purpose of life, to know the belief in Allah, to know the day of judgment, to know the purpose of the prophets, to know how we should obey them, how to listen to them, to follow the book that have been revealed with them. All of that is in the ahkam of al-aqidah. You find the system of the laws concerning the morals and behavior. And here you'll find everything that the Muslim they need to apply into their behavior, from khuluqun hasan, the good moral, the good conduct, and to be prohibited to do any type of mischief, any type of ill behavior, lying, betraying, all these types. So this is a whole system of law of that. You find also, and this is to show the evidence of the shumul, to show the evidence of the shumul and the proof of the shumul. So always when we say something that it is the characteristic of Islam, but not is a characteristic without being backed and being, let's say, have its evidence, and it is backed up by the whole system. So it is shamil, not is our wish to be, or our claim that it is, but it has its proofs. It has its proofs. The third type of أحكام أحكام تتعلق بتنظيم علاقة الإنسان بخالقه. The types of the system of law is the system of law that regulate and organize for us the worship, and specifically the relation between the servant of Allah, the prayer, the fasting, the zakat, etc. Another type of system that he mentioned here is the type of the system that regulate and organize the relationship between people. So you find in it, for example, a whole system of laws concerning the family and organization of the family, the starting of the family, the marriage, the regulation, and to, manage the conflicts within the family, separation, the family, you see the inheritance, all of that is in the Ahkam al-Usra. Another type of laws that concern also the relationship between people in their transaction. The transaction, it can be business transaction, loan transaction, financial transaction, trade, all of that. There's a whole system of law who regulate this and organize this transaction. The same also in the system of the relationship between people. You see the system of al-qada, the system of the qada. Al-qada is the way of settle the conflict, the dispute, the penal one, the social, etc. So all of that, we have a full system of laws that regulate that. Also, you find the relationship between people, from the Muslim country and from the foreign countries, and the way that is regulated and the way of the relationship is based, all of that, it has a system of law. So when we say الشمول, as we said, شامل لجميع شؤون الحياة وسلوك الإنسان, everything that it has backed up with the system of law to regulate and to manage all this relationship and all this aspect of the life of a human being. There's we're going to pray, inshallah. We're not going to miss it. We mentioned also that in the system of Islam, in the system of the shumul, that in the laws in Islam is taken in consideration the moral and the let's say the conduct, the behavior, and what we mean about the moral mainly is al-akhlaq, So when we're talking about the akhlaq, is like the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not restricted or limited to a settlement of a conflict in the court, but is being extended where? To the Day of Judgment. To the Day of Judgment. Therefore, someone can be given a right that is not his, with all the adillah, the proofs and the evidence, and he knows that he's not his. So that part of the taqwa, the piety, who will be as, that factor to remind him, to blame him, that this is not your right. So the hukum, even though the court will give him that right, but is not his. Therefore he knows that it's not settled, that he's going to meet Allah to be punished for that. So this is one of the fact that al-akhlaq or al-taqwa is included in the hukum. And we mentioned something last time about, for example, the promise that Muslims they do, they cannot break it because it's something in their akhlaq, it's something in their moral. They cannot break the promise because of, of other relationships. So it is in the practice of the law and the implementation of the law, the akhlaq is part of that implementation. The akhlaq is part of that implementation, which is not the case into different laws. When they implement it, it is the law that is stipulated. Everyone need to submit to that law, even though it contradict or it conflict or oppose the moral, or someone he's known he's a liar, but they don't have enough evidence, etc., etc. Here, the second point in this is that the side of halal and haram in the action. When someone will be given a right that is not his, now according to the court, it is halal for that person to get the right. But the court, they justify that with the evidence. But the person, he knows that is not his right. In this case, the court, by their judgment, by their sentence didn't make that right to be halal, is going to stay haram. Is going to stay haram. Therefore, what he's going to get that person in his hand is something that is haram. And this hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the meaning of it, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam قال إنما أنا بشر إنما أنا بشر I am a man وإنكم تختصمون إلي, and you come for me to settle the dispute between you, to judge between you. وَلَعَلَّ بَعْضَكُمْ أَنْ يَكُونَ أَلْحَنَ بِحُجَّتِهِ مِنْ بَعْضٍ. And some of you, he might be eloquent in a way of defending his case. Someone, he had the right, but he cannot speak. He said, yes, I gave him. He said, no, he didn't give me. And he has the way of speaking that he really has evidence. The other person cannot even speak. قال وَلَعَلَّ بَعْضَكُمْ أَنْ يَكُونَ أَلْحَنَ بِحُجَّتِهِ مِنْ بَعْضٍ فَأَقْضِي لَهُ عَلَى نَحْوِ مَا أَسْمَعُ مِنْهُ. Then my judgment will be based on the evidence, based on the way those two they speaking. So the one who has, more eloquent in presenting his case, I'm going to judge in his favor, because I judge based on what I hear. Now look this part of the hadith. قال فَمَنْ قَضَيْتُ لَهُ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ حَقِّ أَخِيهِ فَلَا يَأْخُذْ مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. Whoever I judge in his favor, something that is not his right, it is from his right, his brother, he should not take it. So this is, we're talking about, the sentence will be, or the verdict will be pronounced. But the verdict was based on their, the way how they were presenting their evidence. Now the Prophet ﷺ, he said, if my judgment for the favor of the person, that person he knows is not his, he knows, it's haram for him to take it. فَإِنَّمَا أَقْطَعُ لَهُ قِطْعَةً مِّنَ النَّارِ. What I'm giving you in his hand is a piece of hellfire. So when someone listen to this hadith, so the judge, he will make his effort to give a just verdict, right? But the person in front of him, they are very eloquent, they can falsify evidence, they can bring everything. Said, okay, the judge, I'm going to give you this. This is because based on the evidence, based what we can see. But if you are lying, and if you know that is not your right, so the verdict that you think is make the thing for you halal, in fact, this is a verdict that's going to take you to hellfire. Wow. And this is how, in the Islam, the one who is like regulator in the whole system of the society, and regulate their behavior and conduct and watch it in their own righteousness, own piety, which cannot be included in a system of law who doesn't consider this part of the akhlaq and this part of the hil and hurma. So when we said something is lawful, it's not lawful because of the verdict of the judge or the court. Is only lawful when it is right. When it is right. Based on that, this is what will lead to protect the rights of people. يقول وعلى هذا الأساس فإن المسلم لا يقدم على شيء إلا إذا كان حلالا ولا يطالب بشيء إلا إذا كان له. Based on that, the Muslim in the system of Islam, he will not proceed to something to claim only if it's halal. And he will not take anything only it's halal. because he can't take it today, and he's going to be burdened on his neck in the day of judgment. قال إلا إذا كان له وإن استطاع المطالبة بما ليس له ولا يرتكب ما لا يحل له وإن استطاع إخفاء ذلك عن القضاء, and if he can do in such that he will hide it on the judge, you know. قال if he can do that, then he cannot be saved in the day of judgment. He cannot be saved in the day of judgment. And in this way تحفظ الحقوق ويأمن الناس عليها وتقل الخصومات والمنازعات ويقل عدد المراجعين للمحاكم. Based on that, what we're going to have as a result is the protection of the rights, is to spread safety and security among people, and dispute and conflict will be reduced substantially, and ويقل عدد المراجعين إلى المحاكم, and few people then will be going back to the or referring to the courts. And this is, subhanallah, happened in the time of Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, after a whole year, went to Abu Bakr and gave him back the keys of the court, Bayt al-Qada, the home of the judgment. And Abu Bakr, he told him, are you declining the task that I gave you? This is your mission. He said, no, ya Abu Bakr. He said, la, ya Abu Bakr. He said, but for a whole year I didn't receive any conflict. I think I've been unemployed. So I say, I'm giving you back the keys because I didn't receive anyone. So it's like, we don't need Bayt al-Qada, because to them everyone are settling their conflict before even to come to the judge. Why? Because there's a society based on brotherhood, on righteousness, and piety, which is self-restrained self. When someone he knows that he's not his, when he goes to bed to sleep, he remembers, said, subhanallah, I should not do this. This is haram. So he will have, subhanallah, to be reprimanding himself, reproaching himself by his own taqwa. And that was, subhanallah, the factor to not have even conflict and dispute reported or witnessed in front of the court. And this is one of the effect of the characteristic of the shumul, So the shumul, you cannot dissociate the akhlaq from the law. You cannot. You cannot dissociate like the moral from the application of the law. They are together. And the Prophet ﷺ, he's saying in hadith, beautiful hadith, Jamel, it's like comprehensive. قال اتق الله حيثما كنت. Fear Allah wherever you are. So this is شمول الشريعة في المكان والزمان. It's like comprehensiveness of the behaving in the way of Allah in time and in space. Not because, for example, you are around your own people, you behave so nice and honest. When you are among people they do not know you, he said, nobody knows me. So he will be doing mischief or violation of the law of Allah. No, اتق الله حيثما كنت. Fear Allah wherever you are. Wherever you are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you. And this is the shumul. And the other factor in the shumul, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, اتق الله حيث ما كنت وأتبع الحسنة السيئة تمحها. And follow every sin or every infraction or every violation done by weakness by a good deed. It will erase that sin. وَخَالِطِ النَّاسَ بِخُلُقٍ حَسَنٍ. And behave with people with good and great moral. Subhanallah, this is the shumul. And this is how to behave with people, with the self. You'll find Islam giving you, solution and way of doing to preserve your integrity, your piety, your peace, your safety in every aspect of your life. From starting, your morning to the end of the day. At your study, at your business, at the masjid, at the place of, market, everywhere, subhanAllah. He's telling you how to preserve your integrity. And then, this is in the aspect of the life. And then, into the steps of the life, from being young to being, like youth and adult and going up and being responsible, just being, with his parents, then being a parent, all of that, these aspects, these levels, Islam has shamilun, is fully comprehensive and universal. The third one is al-umum. Al-umum. Al-umum, we said, al-umum is the generality being sound, effective, and viable for all mankind. Inshallah, we go pray and we'll take a break for the prayer.
Nobody was complaining. The other person.
No conflict. They had a problem, but they settled it and they solved it between themselves.
Before they got sick.
Well, people, it was like reconciliation, correction, making peace between people was one of the great action recommended in the Sharia. So if someone has a problem with the other person, you find like the whole around them, their brother, they will like run, and to do all the possible to bring them back in peace. Without even getting to the judge. Should we continue? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. The third characteristic in the system of Islam is al-umum. Al-umum. Al-umum is the generality and the soundness and to be relevant. Now, remind ourselves, just a reminder, the study of this characteristic for the da'iyah is crucial, is important. Because knowing the system of Islam will help him to present Islam. So for example, saying, there might be people accuse you with dogmatism. Dogmatism is like rigidity. Your mind is blocked within, these, let's say, the laws of the faith. You cannot it's like you are trapped. It's like you are enchained. But when you know the characteristic, then you present this great positive, characteristic to present the way of Allah, which is Islam here. So I say, our system is from Allah. It doesn't mean like rigid, or it being enchained, or leads like to sufferance. No, because in this accuracy, precision, and justice, complete perfection, it is shamil. The human being, the servant, will not be lost in any aspect of his life. In any part of his life, he has a solution. Islam is with him in everything he wants. And then make him to be watchful, look. Help him to guarantee his safety and tranquility, but in the same time, make him to be watching himself. Watching himself. اتق الله حيثما كنت. Fear Allah wherever you are. Allah is watching you. You see. اتق الله حيثما كنت. Allah is watching. One of the companions, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he had from Al-Furs, when they had the battle with the Persians, and he was being given the mission to carry some of the spoils to Medina, traveling by himself. So I imagine he's traveling and he has like bags of very valuable things, gold and pearls. And it wasn't his mission, and he find them and being taken in, that on himself to take it to Beit Mal al-Muslimin. When he get to the Medina, he came to the place where they deposit this. So his brother is, let's say, at the register, or at the booth, or where they accept, the spoils. He told them, you didn't get anything from it. He's kidding with him. The companion, he gets so mad. Told them, if I have any ill intention, you will not even see it. You don't see the whole bag. You don't see the whole bag. But I'll bring you the bag and take part of it. That will be like, more ill and evil. Nobody knew about that he had this bag. He brought it and presented all of it. So he was like kidding, playing with him, joking with him. He said, did you take anything from it? He got mad. He told them, if I had an ill intention, you would not even see the bag. That filled with like a very big, valuable thing. And this is ittaqillah haythuma shayt. This is the system of the shumul. Al-umum is to be the generality which here قال جاء لعموم البشر ولم يأتي لطائفة معينة منهم أو لجنس خاص من أجناسهم. العموم, it come to the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the system of Islam, to be for the whole humankind. Now, what the difference between الشمول والعموم? الشمول والعموم, what the difference? If we draw like a drawing, a perpendicular line that it goes, when you put, for example, human being, a perpendicular line to go describing all the aspects of his life, and a horizontal line to say like the time, the space, and every humankind. So the shumul, it goes in depth in everything you're going to witness, observe, live as aspect in your life. Al-umum, it will general for every human being, for every space and for every time, for all the time, till the day of judgment. That's al-umum. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا كَافَّةً لِلنَّاسِ بَشِيرًا وَنَذِيرًا. We only sent you, but to be a messenger for the whole humankind, or كافة. قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ, this ayah in Surah Saba. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا كَافَةً لِلنَّاسِ بَشِيرًا وَنَذِيرًا. The second ayah in Surah Al-A'raf, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ إِنِّي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ إِلَيْكُمْ جَمِيعًا. Say, O mankind, I'm a messenger of Allah to you all. And the umum of Islam, the universality of Islam, the generality of the Islam, is not limited to a time or to a space. It's for all time. لعموم الزمان والمكان. It's viable and relevant and sound and effective 15 centuries ago, and it is the same today, and it will be the same in centuries and centuries. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presenting for us the characteristic of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, قال ما كان محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله. Muhammad, he wasn't the father of any of one of you, but he is his characteristic, his ID sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is the messenger of Allah. وخاتم النبيين, and the seal of the prophets. So his sharia is the end, is the last sharia. So his sharia if it's the last Sharia, it's the last message, this message must carry in it its effectiveness and its relevance to the end of the time. For one simple reason. Because Allah is the most merciful. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He wants to punish these people, He will have already punished them. But Allah is the most merciful, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the seal of the Prophet, therefore His system, that it will continue through it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower His creation with His mercy, to have the system effective and viable and sound and relevant to the end of time. Someone we can ask a question. If the Sharia of Islam is the last of the Sharia, it will not be more preferable and more like, if we can say, beneficial for the humankind, that the wahi, the revelation, will continue to come. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stopped the revelation? The answer, as he's saying, al-Musannif rahimahullah ta'ala, the revelation doesn't come for vain. The revelation comes to complete a defect, to complete something that is not complete, or to shortcoming, to correct. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent an Injil to Isa to correct situation of the sons of Israel after the Torah, and after what they been caused to themselves from the rigidity in the laws because of their conduct. Allah wants to shower them with His mercy, sending Isa alayhi salam to lighten the burden on them. So there's something in the Sharia of the Torah need correction, need review. And the Injil, when it came, also it's not complete because it came to correct part of the Sharia, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to lighten the burden that they cause on themselves. Now when the Quran came and the system of Islam came with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is complete. And it is, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, is perfect, complete. So why do you need another Sharia when what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you, what is already completed? اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم. I complete for you your religion, everything. So someone say, why should not have a revelation? Say, why will you need a revelation when the revelation been fully completed? All what you need, it is already included. اليوم أكملت سورة المائدة اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Today I have perfected and completed to you your deen, your religion. And I fulfilled on you my gifts. And I pleased for you that Islam will be your way, your religion, your way of life. So that's the travel to Allah through this deen. Now, the fact that the Sharia of Islam, it's not subject to any abrogation, to any change. Therefore, it requires in the Sharia to have the principle, the aspect of its effectiveness and soundness. Now someone say, what is your evidence then? How come this Sharia is going to serve the humankind to the end of time? So the Sharia must have the aspect that will help, not help, allow for the Sharia to be effective, sound, relevant, viable to the end of time. And we're going to get some of them because it's important for every da'iyah to know. The first dalil, the first proof. You know what is al-maslaha? Maslaha from saluha wa salihun. Salihun is good, sound. Salihun, what it correct you, what improve your condition, what it get you on the right path, that is positive, that is beneficial for you. Al-maslaha is this aspect of being beneficial for you. Voila. So, when we're talking about al-maslaha, everyone in his life, he's seeking maslaha, interest, something that help him, be beneficial for him, improve his condition of life, condition, spiritual condition, or the type of the condition that help him to reach and achieve what everyone is looking forward to have, which is his happiness. So that is al-maslaha. Now, what is the role and the place of al-maslaha in the system of Islam? If the maslaha, everyone is seeking to have maslaha. Why do you work? Say, I work to have an income. So the income is maslaha. And this income is going to help, pay this and do this and, Why do you do this? So there's the interest, the purpose of doing that. It must be something that's beneficial for you. That's the maslaha. Let's look in the system of Islam, what is the place of the maslaha? As a first dalil. يقول the Sharia of Islam was only legislated to fulfill the maslaha for the creation. Its purpose is to give the benefit and to achieve for everyone his maslaha, his good, his welfare. So that's the purpose of the Sharia. In the dunya and in the akhirah. And the other aspect is dar'ul mafasid. Dar'ul mafasid is to push away from him anything that will harm him, anything that will be as a mischief, as evil. Therefore, if we can give the definition to the Sharia from this perspective, we'll find it the Sharia jalbul masalihi wa dar'ul mafasid. That's the intent of the Sharia. That's the highest maqsad of the Sharia. Is the Sharia seeking to provide for you what benefits you and to prevent from you what it hurt you and harm you. That's the Sharia. From the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We only sent you to be a mercy to the worlds. Mercy, its meaning is jalbul maslaha wa dar'ul mafsada. That is meaning. The second dalil in this dalil of al-maslaha, that the ahkam of the Sharia, the laws of the Sharia, they've been built based on this aspect of jalbul maslaha wa dar'ul mafsada. So we say, why do we have hukum? Why do we have the law? The law is to bring you good and prevent and push away harm from you. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, in al-qasas. Al-qasas is the way that to punish the nafs by nafs. Someone who killed willingly, with purpose, with the planning, so the punishment will be that he will be punished by execution. النفس بالنفس والعين بالعين, which is been already in the previous books. طيب, the illah, what is the reason behind it? The reason behind it, we'll find it goes back to al-masalih wa dar'u al-mafasid. Look Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what he said in the Quran. قال وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاةٌ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. And you have in the qasas, that's what you do, by applying this law, you are creating life into the society. How create life? Because if you apply this type of punishment, look, in Islam, we don't call it punishment, we call it hudud. Why we call it hudud? Al-haddu is the limit, al-haddu is the boundary. The one that his righteousness and piety will not help him to hold himself from not committing a crime, then there's that boundary which is the had, is going to push him away. Someone, at the moment he doesn't have righteousness, nothing is holding him back from doing this crime. But when he think of the punishment, that is going to push him away. So al-had is something to protect the behavior, to protect the society. It's not the goal into the law. It's not the had, the punishment, it is the intent or the objective. We put this punishment for everyone to kill. He killed, go do this. He did, do this. No. The had is like that fortress to protect the action of the people, where their action is already watched and protected by the taqwa, by the piety. So we have that system already. Now if someone, he lost all type of piety, he lost his integrity, he become an evil person, when he going to plan to kill, for example, to do a crime, he will think of the punishment. And when that punishment, if he will do it, and the punishment will be applying on this person, everyone else, we know it's a reality, they will not do it again. Then everyone who intend to do such a crime, by the practice and the implementation of the punishment, he's not going to do it. And if you will not do it, what you're going to have as a result? You are creating lives. Because those criminals, they were not going to plan because they're going to be scared. That's the meaning of it. So, even in al-qasas, the reason, the illah of it is creation of life. Is a creation of life. And you can see it, subhanAllah, in the ummah before. No one will do such a thing. First, because of their piety, and the one who will lose that, he will be pushed away by al-had. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explain for us, to understand why, for example, alcohol is forbidden, why gambling is forbidden. It is serving the same purpose, to jalbul maslaha wa darul mafsada. Look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Ma'idah, He said, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَن يُوقِعَ بَيْنَكُمُ الْعَدَاوَةَ وَالْبَغْضَاءَ فِي الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ. What the evil one want to do or to plan for you, when he push you to drink alcohol or to play or to use, gambling, he want to create or push between you, create hatred, enmity. وَيَصُدَّكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, and push you away from the way of Allah. and push you away, distract you from the remembrance of Allah, which remembrance keep you to be on the right path, preserve and increase your integrity and piety. وعن الصلاة, and on the prayer. فهل أنتم منتهون? Then after this explanation, are you not going to stop now? What the companion Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim said when this ayah was revealed, قالوا انتهينا. This is the So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained for us al-illah. Al-illah is the reason for which the hukum, the law, was legislated. So when someone, for example, use intoxicant material or intoxicant substance, he's going to lose his brain. Losing his brain is going to cause him to do mischief. He's going to cause him to be not the person that he is. And with the people that they were brothers together, is going to, the shaitan find it a way to cause between enmity, hatred. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, therefore this is haram, cannot be for you believers. So what is the illah here? The reason of legislating this hukum is to prevent for any such evil will be infiltrated into the body of the Muslim or the believer or into their gathering or their community or their congregation. So again, another example to see that ta'leel al-ahkam, the reason of the edification of the laws is based on the maslahah. So when you think what will be the motivation of every human being to the end of time is to look forward to have something that benefits him, we tell him that the Sharia of Islam is only legislated for that. And the edification of the laws are based on that. Therefore, that's an evidence of its effectiveness, of its relevance, and of its umum. And of course, we don't want to go into the details because some of the laws that it will not be possible for us to do to know the illah. And the illah, if it's absent from the mind or from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, didn't clarify it. But it is the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to know that the reason is only for the maslahah. Because only Allah wants for you good. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us the illah in some of the ahkam to help us build the mechanism of ijtihad. In the same maslahah, that al-maslahah, the benefit, the beneficial, the good thing intended in every law is not only limited to the life of this world. It extended in the hereafter. Is extended to the hereafter. Another aspect in the same point, you find in Islam what we call al-rukhas, permission. So the permission here, exceptions, for what? Is always to preserve the principle of al-masalih, the principle of al-masalih as we explained. For example, in time of hardship, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the permission to not apply what is an obligation on you. In time, for example, someone, his life is threat. In a threat, there is no food. And he only finds something that is haram. The Sharia gives him the permission to eat and to drink haram to save his life. At certain moment, when someone refuses to use the haram because it's haram and he neglects the gift of the life, he will be in sin and committing a major sin if he dies without using the haram. So this is a rukhas. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will seek your benefit, he will seek your maslahah to protect your life, say it is an obligation for you in this moment, in this case, in this state, to use the haram to save your life. And this is a rukhas. And we have it qaida, we have a principle in the fiqh and in al-usul. الضروريات تبيح المحظورات. State of necessities make halal what is haram in that state of necessities. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the permission for someone whose life is threatened to even say the word of blasphemy. Someone is forced and he threatened his life. Can you imagine? He had the permission to blaspheme, means insult Allah, to protect his life. Maslahah. Of course, with the condition that his heart is sound with iman, filled with iman. But he said it because he's mukrah, forced. He wants to protect his life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't put a burden on someone that he cannot bear. Someone cannot bear punishment. He cannot bear, even for some people, they cannot even bear to be slapped in the face. He cannot. If you slap me in the face, maybe you lose conscience. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, to protect your life, and you feel forced, let them hear whatever they want from blasphemy, but Allah knows your heart that is sound, to protect your life. And this is an evidence of the maslahah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the permission for as-sa'im in Ramadan to break his fast because he's sick. Not only sick, even traveling. And traveling sometimes it doesn't cause any hardship. But you say safar, travel. Because someone saying, okay, we're traveling, we're going to travel in a very well favorable condition. Why should you break your fast? For example. Say this is hukum from Allah, this is a law from Allah. Therefore, we cannot evaluate the hardship. Everyone, subhanAllah, his way, everyone his condition. So we need to relate the hukum, relate to the law, to mutlaq al-safar. Any type of travel, you give you the permission to break your fast. And this is the maslahah. This is how the place and the role of the maslahah in Sharia. And if you see at the structure of the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in very brief we can say it because this is important part. If we try to, let's say, have the different categories of the need of a human being or of a society, you find them, there's al-daruriyat, wal-hajiyat, wal-tahsinat, or al-kamaliyat. There's things are necessity for the society. Without it, life cannot continue within the society. It's going to be full chaos. Al-hajiyat is the needed one. This needed one, if they're not implemented or fulfilled in the society, you'll find in the society very hardship, situation of hardship, and it's very severe and conditions. Al-kamaliyat is like the extra thing, like luxurious things. For example, someone needs a shelter. This is daruriyat. This is a necessity. Al-hajiyat, the needed, you need things in the shelter, place where someone, for his showering and things, he need that, place where he going to sleep, a mattress at least. So this is hajiyat. But he can live without it. But without a shelter, this is daruriyat. Al-kamaliyat is going to be the furniture and this thing. This is things more than the needed one. So ulama al-usul wal-maqasid, based on that, looking at daruriyat, what will be the daruriyat? What are the most necessary thing for the humankind or for the society. There are five according to the scholars. The first one is حفظ الدين, the protection of the faith, the protection of the belief. Because the belief of every human being, it's his life, it's his, what really, the belief, it's what decides and what really builds his emotion, his feeling, his motivations, his cause of life. It's based on his belief. So the first thing in the daruriyat that the Sharia will look forward to protect is حفظ الدين, the protection of faith. The second one is life, protection of life. The third one is the protection of the intellect, of the mind. The fourth one is the progeny, the reproduction. The fifth one is properties. Those are five necessities that the Sharia, the laws of the Sharia protect in order to protect safety in the society. This is the basic minimum protection needed in every society for life to exist, for life to subsist.
What was the fifth one?
Properties, wealth. If you come to the Sharia, every one of these necessities we mentioned, the ahkam, the law of the Sharia related to it, is a major sin when is violated, and it is a wajib when is commanded. For example, in kamaliyat you find mubah, in al-hajjiyat you find mandub, recommended. But here, violation, major sin, kabira, when is commanded, is an obligation. In the protection of the faith, the ahkam of the Sharia is to stop everyone who will put distortion in the way of the aqidah, the one who call for innovation, the one who be shown as action of treason against his own faith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make obligation, the striving in the sake of Allah to protect the deen, to protect the faith, all of that. For the protection of life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a great major sin to kill someone with no right. This is one of the biggest major sins in Islam. You see how it's related. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى قال من أجل كتب على بني إسرائيل أنه من قتل نفسا بغير نفس أو فساد فكأنما قتل الناس جميعا. Whoever who killed a soul with no right, he's like he killed the whole humankind. وَمَنْ أَحْيَاهَا, look for the وَمَنْ who help, contribute in giving life, he's like he give life the whole humankind. See, so the violation is like the biggest of the sin. And when you do it as a command, you have the greatest of the rewards. When it's related to the necessities. Come, for example, to al-aql, al-intellect, to protect the intellect. The Sharia of Islam make haram all intoxicant, because intoxicant will ruin and take away the mind, subhanallah. For the progeny, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recommended the household, the marriage, and He made haram the type to get rid of the newborns or the baby, the abortion, and all that thing is how to protect the progeny. And make haram az-zina, adultery, because the adultery will break this lineage, will break this subhanallah, the purity into presenting and preparing the next generation. In the haram as part of protecting the progeny. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this also make haram al-qadf, is to talk about the chastity and the purity of women with no right and with like, falsehood. In al-mal, hifd al-mal, properties, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make a severe punishment for those who steal, for those who cheat into al-mizan, for those who make haram transaction like with usury and everything. This is all in the protection of the properties. And you see everything related to the necessities are major sin when you violate one of the necessities, because the society require and need this necessity. Without it, life will be chaos in the society. Imagine there's no law who regulate or govern the killing, for example, or the protection of life, or the protection of the properties. Everyone will claim that this house is his, and he will take it with force. So it will be full chaos. Everyone is taking intoxicant. It will be full chaos. And there will not be any preservation of intellect or any any let's say building life. The life will not exist, subhanAllah, if we don't respect these necessities. And this is one of the aspects how the Sharia is fully built to protect the masalih. Just I finish this part, and next time we'll start with the second evidence to look in brief about the principle of the Sharia, inshallah. This is saying of Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala. He talking about the Sharia. قال مبناها وأساسها على الحكم ومصالح العباد. Is built and is foundation, the Sharia, on the benefit and masalih of al-ibad. All what he'll benefit people, will provide them goodness. في المعاش والمعاد, in their life of this world and in the ma'ad, in the hereafter. وهي عدل كلها, and it is justice, all of it. ورحمة كلها, and mercy, all of it. ومصالح كلها, and good and benefits, all of it. وحكمة كلها, and it is wisdom, all of it. فكل مسألة خرجت من العدل إلى الجور وعن الرحمة إلى ضدها وعن المصلحة إلى المفسدة وعن الحكمة إلى العبث فليست من الشريعة. Subhanallah. This is very important. He said, any law that someone claims is from Islam, كل مسألة, it is any law that is go out from justice to injustice, out of mercy to the opposite of it, out of benefiting people to become a harm, out of wisdom to be vain and something that doesn't make any sense. This is not from the Sharia. Which is give us, subhanallah, a very important conclusion here. That the hukum of Islam is not the image of the hukum. It's the content and the mu'adda al-hukum. What the hukum will give as good result in its implementation. So if someone implement one of the hudud, for example, kill or cut hand, if you do it with no right, if you do it without fulfilling, as he said here, fulfilling the justice, fulfilling the mercy, fulfilling the maslaha, fulfilling the wisdom. So even though the surah, the image of its implementation look exactly like the way of the Sharia, it's not the law of Allah. Why the law of the Sharia to be implemented need to take in consideration or the condition and its purpose. The content need to fulfill the purpose of the implementation of the hukum. But if you do it as an image and there is no any result in it because you didn't prepare it, you didn't implement it in its condition to give the rahmah, therefore you're not implementing the law of Allah. It's very clear, subhanAllah. It's very clear. We'll stop here. And this is Kalam ibn al-Qayyim. This is Kalam, and it's the common sense. And if you go study Imam al-Shatibi in his book Al-Muwafaqat, he had more analysis and more saying about this importance of the spirit of the Sharia. So someone needs first to fulfill the spirit of the Sharia before implementing the Sharia. Not the Sharia, I'm talking about the hukum, because the Sharia, it is the whole structure. The whole structure. But the hukum, you cannot implement it unless you have the spirit of the hukum respected and taken in consideration at the time of the implementation. Any question?
One specific question that I have about an example that you gave when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, allows when your life is in danger or when you are a necessity in need of something which is haram for you. In that case it becomes halal. And if you are not using that to your capability of just your surviving aspect, that might become haram for you, or that might become a sin for you. For the case of when you mentioned when your life is in danger, let's just say you have been captured by somebody and they're saying this and that. You can even use blasphemy and stuff like that. What if it's, because this was a specific question me and a brother were kind of just talking about a couple of weeks ago. What if you have like the honor of, like I have the option of saying, something bad even though something good is in my heart just to save my life. But what if I want to die, as a Muslim, as just to not go in the sense of, I'm going to say this just to kind of escape out of the situation or something like that? What if you have the option of, what, I'm not going to go with the flow, I'm just going to,
we go to study is one of the characteristics. What we call al-waqi'iyya wal-mithaliyya. Islam, he'll give you the command and ask from you what someone can carry as task and responsibility. That's al-waqi'iyya. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not burden you more than you can bear. And not burden you more than you can bear, will be what is the more realistic for everyone. For everyone. Then, there's when someone want to be mithali, like target high. That's upon himself. But he cannot make it an obligation on everyone else. In this condition, we have a famous example. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he was going to be thrown in the fire, Ibrahim had this law to protect his life. Well, so we say you have the permission to protect your life, but if you want to target high, you say, I want to do it for the sake of Allah. I want, for example, to say these people, to show them the strength of a heart of a believer, to be an example for others, to give a boost of iman for everyone else. That will be from the al-mithal. Al-mithal, to be an example, to target high, to be idealistic in it. That's permissible. This is we're going to study between الواقعية والمثالية المثالية. Like example, for example, someone, a family, their child was killed. The family had the right in Islam to decide of the killer. Their right is to order for the killing of the killer. It's their right. This is a qasas. So a qasas is not the judge who ordered it. It's the family of the killed one. Al-waqi'iyya, people are so hurt, they want to take the right of the blood of their child. They say he must be killed. Al-mithaliyya, what is al-mithaliyya? Is to target high to get the highest reward. We say we forgive. So forgiveness, it will not be an obligation on you. Forgiveness is, you say, that's mithaliyya. So say, you're right, your right is to have the right of the blood of your child by having in your hand, to order the killing of the one who killed your child. Well, but you have the opportunity to forgive. That will be mithaliyya. But if you come to a family and said, no, you have to forgive, that will be a violation of their right. So this is like you make them, bear a burden that they cannot have. You cannot, like, subhanAllah, things in the heart is their right. قال وجعلنا لوليه سلطانا فلا يسرف في القتل. We make for his family the sultan. They have in their hand to decide of the killer. فلا يسرف في القتل. Don't waste. Don't make it like, oh, he killed our child, we're gonna kill all his family. The only one, the killer, that's who's going to be punished. But if you forgive, that will be something great. Well, so this is, we studied inshallah in the fifth, I think, characteristic, al-waqi'iyyatu wal-mithaliyya in Islam, which, subhanallah, is very structured, and you see the greatness of the system of Islam through the characteristic that we studied. Any other question? Jazakumullah khair.